When we feel weak, when we are gripped by moments of doubt and uncertainty, it's all too easy to believe that something has gone wrong. We find ourselves questioning our abilities, our choices, and perhaps even our very worth. These feelings can feel overwhelming, casting long shadows over our lives. And in those moments, it's natural to believe that we've reached some kind of limit. But the truth is, this feeling of weakness, this doubt that sometimes invades our minds, is not a reflection of our true potential. It's not a permanent condition, nor is it an indication of failure. It's an illusion. Every single one of us will experience moments of weakness. We will stumble. We will face situations where we feel as though we've been stretched beyond what we thought we could handle. But this is not the end of our journey. In fact, it's quite the opposite. This feeling of weakness is often the first sign of something greater, just waiting to be discovered within us. We can't always see it in the moment, but it's there. Weakness, if we allow it, becomes the very ground on which we build our strength. What it means to feel weak, to feel uncertain, we often mistake these sensations as a sign that we're inadequate, that we lack something essential. But if we stop for a moment, if we truly reflect, we begin to see that these feelings arise precisely because we are in the process of growth. It's not that we are weak. It's that we are facing something that demands more from us than we have ever given before. And in that demand lies the opportunity for us to rise to a new level of strength, a strength we may not have even known we possessed. The mind, in its incredible power, shapes our experience of life. Every thought we allow into our consciousness is like a seed, and whether we nurture that seed into a flourishing garden or let it wither and die depends entirely on us. When we feel weak, it is often because we've allowed thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation to take root in our minds. But just as easily as those thoughts have entered, we have the power to replace them. We can choose to see weakness not as a permanent state, but as a temporary condition, one that we can overcome through the right mindset. The human mind is an extraordinary tool capable of shaping our lives in ways we often don't fully appreciate. When we focus on thoughts of weakness, when we allow our doubts to govern our actions, we reinforce the very thing we wish to avoid. But when we choose to see these moments for what they truly are, challenges, opportunities to grow, to become stronger, we begin to shift our entire perspective. Weakness no longer becomes a barrier. It becomes a stepping stone. The illusion of weakness is powerful, but it is just that, an illusion. And like all illusions, it can be dispelled once we see it for what it truly is. We must remember that every great achievement, every moment of triumph, was preceded by difficulty. It was preceded by moments where the individual might have felt overwhelmed, uncertain, even defeated. But those moments were not the end of the story. They were, in fact, the beginning of something greater. So how do we break free from this illusion? How do we begin to see weakness not as something to fear, but as something to embrace and move through? The first step is in recognizing that our thoughts are the foundation of our reality. What we think, we become. If we allow thoughts of inadequacy to dominate our minds, we will indeed feel. But if we train ourselves to focus on the possibilities within us, on the potential that lies just beyond our current understanding, we begin to realize that we are far stronger than we ever imagined. What is true strength? So often we think of strength as something physical, something external. We look at the strong man lifting immense weights, or the marathon runner crossing the finish line after enduring hours of fatigue, and we say, there, that is strength. And while these feats are impressive, they only represent one small aspect of what strength truly is. True strength goes far beyond the physical. It is not found merely in the body, but in the mind, in the heart, and in the spirit. Strength, we must recognize that it is often misunderstood. People tend to believe that strength is the absence of fear, the absence of doubt, the absence of pain. But if we reflect for just a moment, we realize that this cannot be true. Strength is not the avoidance of challenge, but the willingness to face it. It is not the denial of fear, but the ability to move forward in spite of it. It is not the absence of struggle, but the capacity to endure and grow through struggle. Strength, true strength, is found in the quiet resilience of the human spirit. It is in the man who faces failure time and again, yet rises each morning with a renewed determination. It is in the woman who confronts adversity not with complaint, but with a calm resolve to overcome. Strength is not loud or boastful. It does not call attention to itself. It simply moves forward, one step at a time, through whatever challenges life places in its path. Consider the story of the oak tree. In its youth, the oak is vulnerable, its roots shallow, its branches thin. Yet as the winds of time blow and the storms come, the tree is tested. Its roots must dig deeper into the soil to hold firm against the gales. Its branches must learn to bend with the wind rather than break. And as the years pass, the oak becomes strong, not because it avoided the storms, but because it faced them. Every storm that passed through strengthened the oak, deepened its roots, and made it resilient. We are much like the oak tree. The storms of life, the difficulties and challenges we face are not there to break us, though it may feel that way at times. They are there to strengthen us, to help us grow in ways we cannot always see in the moment. Every challenge is an opportunity to dig our roots deeper, to strengthen our resolve, to discover what we are truly capable of. Strength, you see, is already within each of us. It is not something that needs to be acquired or sought outside of ourselves. It is already there waiting to be uncovered. Often, it lies dormant beneath layers of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. But it is there nonetheless, and it is through self-awareness, through the quiet and honest reflection of who we are and what we are capable of, that we begin to see this strength for what it truly is. Self-awareness is key. Without it, we are blind to the immense power we possess. We go through life believing we are weak, that we are at the mercy of circumstances, of other people, of events beyond our control. But when we take the time to look inward, when we truly reflect on our own thoughts and actions, we begin to see that much of what we experience as weakness is simply a matter of perspective. The mind left unchecked has a way of magnifying our doubts and diminishing our strengths. But when we take control of our thoughts, when we direct our minds with purpose and clarity, we begin to realize that we are far more powerful than we ever imagined. This is where the transformation happened. When we understand that strength is not something external, but something internal, something that is shaped and cultivated by our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions, we begin to see the world differently. We no longer feel powerless in the face of adversity. We no longer shrink from challenges. Instead, we face them with a quiet confidence, knowing that each challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. And this is the essence of true strength. It is not found in the avoidance of difficulty, but in the willingness to confront it. It is not found in the absence of fear, but in the courage to move forward despite it. It is not found in the external, but in the internal and the power of the human spirit to persevere, to endure, and to overcome. As we reflect on this, we begin to see how action and thought are inextricably linked. For it is through our actions, through the small, deliberate steps we take each day, that we begin to turn thoughts into reality. A thought on its own has little power. It is only when we take that thought and bring it into the world through action that it begins to take shape, and with each action we grow stronger. We build momentum. And soon, what once felt like weakness transforms into something else entirely. It becomes strength. Our thoughts have a profound impact on our reality. Every action we take, every decision we make, stems from the thoughts we allow to dominate our minds. It's been said that we become what we think about, and there's a deep truth in that. The way we see ourselves, the way we perceive our strengths and weaknesses, is determined not by the world around us, but by the world within us, by the thoughts we choose to entertain. When we feel weak, it often has little to do with our actual abilities. Instead, it's the result of self-limiting beliefs that have taken root in our minds. These beliefs act like chains, binding us to a version of ourselves that isn't true. They convince us that we are less capable, less worthy, less powerful than we really are. And the more we focus on these limiting thoughts, the more they shape our reality. The mind has a remarkable ability to make what we think become true, not because the world changes, but because we begin to act in ways that align with our thoughts, whether those thoughts are empowering or debilitating. The person who believes they're not good enough, perhaps they've been told this in the past, or maybe they've faced setbacks and failures that have led them to this conclusion. Over time, this belief starts to solidify in their mind. They begin to approach new challenges with hesitation, expecting to fail because that's what their mind has told them to expect. And inevitably, because their actions follow their thoughts, they find themselves falling short. But it wasn't their abilities that failed them. It was their belief in those abilities. Now think of the opposite. Imagine someone who, despite the same challenges, believes in their ability to succeed. They approach each obstacle with the thought that they have the strength to overcome it, that failure is only temporary, and that their efforts will eventually lead them to success. This person may face the same setbacks. The same difficulties, but because their mind is focused on the possibility of success, they persist. And over time, their persistence pays off. They become stronger, not because the challenges were easier, but because their thoughts empowered them to keep going. This is the power of the mind. The thoughts we allow ourselves to focus on will either imprison us or empower us. When we cling to self-limiting beliefs, we place ourselves in a mental prison of our own making. But when we choose to focus on thoughts of possibility, of strength, of capability, we free ourselves to pursue our true potential. Take, for example, the story of a young man who grew up in difficult circumstances. Throughout his early life, he was told by those around him that he wouldn't amount to much. And for a time, he believed it. His life became a reflection of those beliefs. He struggled, he faced failure after failure, and he felt weak. But one day, something changed. He began to question those beliefs. He asked himself, why must this be true? Why can't I be more than what I've been told? Slowly, he started to shift his thoughts. He began to focus on the idea that he could succeed, that he's capable. And as his thoughts changed, so did his actions. He started to take risks, to pursue new opportunities, and to work with a new sense of purpose. The more he fed his mind with empowering thoughts, the more his reality began to change. And in time, he became successful, not because the world around him had changed, but because he had changed the way he saw himself. The repetition of positive, empowering thoughts. Our minds are like gardens. Whatever we plant, whatever we nurture will grow. If we plant seeds of doubt, seeds of fear, seeds of limitation, those are the thoughts that will dominate our minds. But if we plant seeds of possibility, of strength, of potential, then those thoughts will grow and our actions will follow suit. And over time, just as a garden flourishes with the right care, so too does our mind. We must tend to it daily, choosing carefully the thoughts we allow to take root. The beauty of this process is that it doesn't require dramatic, overnight change. It starts with small, consistent shifts in our thinking. By consciously choosing to focus on positive, empowering thoughts each day, we begin to reshape our mental landscape. At first, the changes may seem subtle, almost imperceptible. But as the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, we begin to notice that our actions are changing. We approach challenges with more confidence. We take risks we once would have avoided, and we begin to see that what once felt like weakness is transforming into strength. This process isn't about denying the difficulties we face. It's not about pretending that everything is easy or that we won't encounter setbacks. It's about recognizing that we have control over how we respond to those difficulties. We may not always be able to change the circumstances around us, but we can always change the way we think about them. And in changing our thoughts, we change our reality. From here, the next step is to move beyond thought and into action. For while the mind is powerful, it is through action that we bring our thoughts to life. Thought alone can guide us, but action is what creates change. And just as we have the power to choose our thoughts, we also have the power to choose our actions, actions that align with the person we wish to become. Thoughts are the foundation of everything we do, but thought alone is never enough. A thought, no matter how powerful or positive, must be followed by action to create real change in our lives. Thoughts are the seed, full of potential. But just as a seed cannot grow without water and sunlight, thoughts cannot transform our lives without the nourishment of action. Action is the force that turns what we imagine into what we experience. Without it, even the best ideas, the most positive thoughts, remain dormant. They stay locked within the realm of possibility, never becoming reality. It's a simple truth, but one that often eludes us. We've all had moments where we know what we want to achieve. We thought long and hard about it, yet we hesitate to take the first step. Because action requires effort, and often it's easier to remain in the comfort of thought than to face the uncertainty of doing. But the real magic happens only when we move beyond thinking and begin doing. When we take even the smallest step, we set something in motion that can change everything. You might feel weak, uncertain, unsure of what to do next. But here's something you must understand. You don't need to have it all figured out before you take action. In fact, clarity often comes after action, not before. If we wait for the perfect moment, or until we feel fully confident, we will never move. Strength doesn't come from knowing every answer in advance. Strength comes from the act of moving forward, even when the path ahead isn't entirely clear. Climber, they may not see the top of the mountain from where they start. The peak may be hidden by clouds or distance, but they don't need to see the entire path to begin the journey. They just need to take the first step. And with every step, the way forward becomes clearer. The same is true for us. The more we act, the more we learn. The more we learn, the more capable we become. This is the process by which strength is built. Step by step, action by action. The key is consistency. One action taken once may not seem to change much, but repeated action, focused effort over time, is what creates real strength. Just as a muscle grows stronger through repeated use, our ability to handle challenges, to move past feelings of weakness, strengthens with every small step we take. Each small action builds upon the last, creating momentum. And once momentum is on our side, something extraordinary happens. What once felt like weakness transforms into strength. When you feel weak, the most important thing you can do is take action. Not grand, sweeping action that overwhelms you, but small, manageable steps. You don't need to solve every problem or tackle every challenge at once. All you need is to take that first step, no matter how small it may seem. It could be as simple as making a phone call, writing down a plan, or setting aside just a few minutes each day to work toward your goal. These small actions may not seem like much in the moment, but they carry immense power. They create movement, and with movement comes growth. Think back to any time in your life when you felt uncertain or stuck. If you reflect on those moments, you'll likely find that the breakthrough came when you decided to act. Maybe it was a phone call you were putting off or a decision you were hesitant to make. But once you acted, everything began to shift. That's because action, no matter how small, breaks the cycle of stagnation. It creates energy, and that energy propels us forward, even when we don't have all the answers. One principle that applies here. Action creates resilience. When we act, especially when we don't feel strong or confident, we're training ourselves to push past our limits. We're telling our mind that we are capable, even when it tells us otherwise. With each action, we become more resilient, more capable of handling whatever life throws our way. And the beautiful thing is that resilience, once built, becomes self-reinforcing. The more we act, the stronger we become. The stronger we become, the more willing we are to act. Action isn't just about achieving a goal. It's about changing who we are. It's about transforming our self-perception from someone who feels weak into someone who knows they are strong. And this transformation happens not in one grand moment, but through the small, consistent actions we take every day. Each step, no matter how small, brings us closer to the person we want to be. So if you're feeling weak right now, if you're questioning your ability to move forward, remember this, you don't have to take massive leaps all at once. All you need to do is take the next step. The rest will follow. One step at a time, one action after another. You will find that strength is not something you have to search for. It's something you build within yourself. Action is the key that unlocks our potential. Thoughts alone, no matter how powerful, can only take us so far. It is action that breathes life into those thoughts, that takes the seed of possibility and nurtures it into reality. And the best part is, you don't have to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. The perfect time to act is now. Adversity. It's a word we often associate with hardship, struggle, and perhaps even failure. But what if we were to see adversity not as an enemy, but as a teacher? What if instead of fearing the challenges that life throws our way, we embrace them as essential steps in our own growth? The truth is, adversity is not something to be avoided or resisted. It is something to be understood, something to be used. For it is through adversity that we are shaped, refined, and ultimately strengthened. How steel is forged. Steel, one of the strongest materials we know, does not become strong by sitting idle. It does not take its shape through ease or comfort. No, steel is forged in the fire. It is subjected to intense heat, hammered and tempered, until it reaches a state of strength and resilience. Without the heat, without the pressure, it remains soft, malleable, unable to withstand the demands placed upon it. When we too are like that steel, without adversity, without the challenges that force us to stretch beyond what we thought we were capable of, we remain untested, unproven. When we feel weak, when we are faced with difficulties that seem insurmountable, it's easy to believe that we are being broken down. But in reality, these moments of hardship are shaping us, much like the steel in the forge. They are testing our limits, yes, but they are also expanding those limits. Each challenge we face is an opportunity for growth, if only we can see it that way. Weakness is not a sign of defeat. It is a signal that we are in the midst of becoming stronger. History is filled with examples of individuals who faced tremendous adversity, individuals who at times felt weak, uncertain, and overwhelmed. Yet it was precisely through those moments that they discovered their true strength. Think of a man or woman who's achieved great things, and you will find a person who has faced great difficulty. It is a universal truth that adversity precedes triumph. Those who succeed, who rise to great heights, are not those who avoided hardship, but those who faced it head-on, learned from it, and grew because of it. There is a famous story of an athlete who, early in his career, faced a devastating injury. For a time, it seemed as though his dreams had been shattered. The pain was not just physical, but emotional, as he grappled with the possibility that he might never return to his sport. But instead of giving in to despair, he used the injury as fuel for his recovery. He committed himself to rehabilitation with a focus and intensity he had never known before. And through that process, not only did he recover, but he became stronger both mentally and physically than he had ever been. What seemed at first like a moment of great weakness was, in fact, the catalyst for his greatest growth. This is the lesson adversity offers us. It is not there to destroy us. It is there to show us what we are truly capable of. When we feel weak, it is because we are being pushed to grow, to evolve beyond our current limitations. The discomfort we feel is not a sign that we are failing. It is a sign that we are on the verge of transformation. Just as the steel cannot take its final shape without the fire, we cannot become who we are meant to be without the challenges that test us. Now, this doesn't mean that adversity is easy to face. Far from it. There will be times when the pressure feels unbearable, when the path forward seems uncertain. But it is in these moments that we must remind ourselves that every great achievement, every success, is built on a foundation of perseverance through difficulty. The key is not to avoid adversity, but to embrace it, to see it as a necessary part of our journey. When we are in the midst of adversity, when we feel the weight of it pressing down on us, it is natural to want to give up. But it is precisely in those moments that we must hold firm. We must stay the course, no matter how difficult it feels. For every step we take in the face of adversity is a step towards strength. Every challenge we endure builds resilience, and with resilience comes the capacity to face even greater challenges in the future. Steel, each time it is subjected to the fire, it becomes a little stronger, a little more capable of withstanding the pressures that will come. And so it is with us. Each time we face adversity and persevere, we build the internal strength to handle whatever life may bring. We learn that we are capable of more than we thought, that what once seemed impossible is now within our reach. And in that realization, we discover the true power that lies within us. The next time you feel weak, the next time you are faced with a challenge that seems beyond your ability, remember this. You are not being broken. You are being forged. You are being shaped, strengthened, and prepared for the next stage of your journey. Adversity is not something to fear. It is something to embrace, something to use as a tool for growth. And as you persevere, as you continue to move forward despite the difficulties, you will find that the very thing that once seemed to weaken you has, in fact, made you stronger than ever before. This is the gift of adversity. It teaches us that we are capable of far more than we realize. It shows us that what feels like weakness is often the beginning of a new strength. And once we understand this, we can face any challenge with a quiet confidence, knowing that each step we take, each difficulty we endure, is leading us closer to the person we are meant to become. And it is through this understanding, through this acceptance of adversity as a catalyst for growth, that we develop the perseverance to stay the course, no matter how difficult the road may seem. Perseverance is the quiet force behind every success. It is the unseen companion of those who transform their lives, guiding them through the inevitable storms of difficulty and doubt. When everything feels hard, when obstacles seem insurmountable, it's not raw talent or luck that determines the outcome. It's the ability to keep moving forward. Perseverance is the true mark of inner strength. Strength isn't about never feeling weak. Every one of us will face moments of doubt, moments when we question our abilities or feel like giving up. But real strength isn't found in avoiding those feelings. Real strength is revealed in what we choose to do when those moments arise. It's the decision to take another step when everything in you wants to stop. It's the refusal to quit even when the path seems impossibly long. This is the essence of perseverance. There's a timeless principle here. Persistence, more than any other factor, shapes our destiny. It's often said that success is the result of sustained effort, of continuing to press forward long after others have given up. And that's true. When we look at those who achieve their goals, we rarely see the many failures and setbacks they endured. But if we could, we'd see that it was their persistence through those setbacks that made all the difference. Nightingale often spoke of persistence as a key to success. He reminded us that the person who keeps going, who refuses to be defeated, will ultimately achieve what they set out to do. It may not happen quickly, but perseverance, over time, will wear down any obstacle. So when the road feels tough, remember this. Strength is not the absence of weakness. Strength is the ability to rise in the face of it. Keep going. Each small step, each moment of persistence, builds the foundation for a future you may not yet see. But it is there waiting for you, just beyond the next step. Belief, it is at the core of everything we do, everything we strive for, and everything we ultimately become. The way we see ourselves, the way we understand our own abilities, is shaped by our belief in our own strength. Without that belief, no matter how much potential we may have, we will always fall short of what we could achieve. Because belief is the foundation on which we build our lives. It is both the precursor to action and the product of experience. And it is through belief that we unlock the strength to overcome what we once thought impossible. When we feel weak, it is often not because we lack the ability to succeed, but because we don't believe in that ability. Too often we allow doubt to take hold. We question whether we are good enough, capable enough, strong enough. And as long as those doubts dominate our minds, they shape our reality. We fail not because we are destined to fail, but because we have convinced ourselves that success is beyond our reach. But self-belief is not something that exists in a vacuum. It is not some abstract concept that appears overnight. It is something that must be cultivated carefully and deliberately, just like a garden. And like any garden, it requires consistent care and attention. We must feed it with positive thoughts, with affirmations that remind us of our worth, our capability, our potential. For just as negative thoughts can hurt our confidence, positive thoughts can build it up little by little until it becomes unshakable. Think of the moments in your life when you felt most confident, most capable. Those moments were likely not accidents. They came as a result of effort, of persistence, of small victories that built upon one another. And as you experienced those victories, no matter how small, your belief in yourself grew. Each time you succeeded, you gained a little more confidence in your ability to succeed again. This is how belief works. It is both the starting point and the result of overcoming weakness. But what about those who struggle to believe in themselves? What about those who have been told, perhaps for years, that they are not capable, that they will never achieve what they dream of? For many, this is the reality they live in. They fail to see their true potential because they have been conditioned to believe that they don't have any. They have internalized the doubts of others and made them their own. But here's the truth. Self-belief is not fixed. It is not determined by what others say or what you have experienced in the past. It can be changed, it can be strengthened, and it starts with the thoughts you allow into your mind. One of the most powerful tools for cultivating self-belief is the use of affirmations. Affirmations are simple, positive statements that reinforce the belief you want to cultivate. They work because they help to reprogram your mind, replacing doubt with confidence, fear with courage. When you repeat affirmations consistently, they begin to take root in your subconscious mind. And over time, they become the beliefs that guide your actions. Simple phrases like, I am strong, I am capable, or I can overcome any challenge can have a profound effect if repeated often enough. It may seem like a small thing, but the mind responds to repetition, and what you tell yourself day after day becomes the reality you live. Visualization is another powerful strategy. When you visualize yourself succeeding, overcoming challenges, and demonstrating strength, you begin to shift your mind away from doubt and toward possibility. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you visualize success, you are essentially training your mind to expect it. And when the mind expects success, the body follows. You begin to act in ways that align with that belief. You take more risks, you persist longer in the face of difficulty, and you handle setbacks with more resilience. This is how belief transforms you. It begins with a single thought, a decision to see yourself not as weak, but as strong, capable, and worthy. And once you make that decision, and once you reinforce it with action, whether through affirmations, visualization, or simply choosing to focus on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. That belief grows. It becomes a part of who you are. And when you believe in your own strengths, there is very little that can stand in your way. Belief is the foundation of all achievement. Without it, we are at the mercy of our doubts, but with it, we are free to rise to our full potential. It is through belief that we transform moments of weakness into opportunities for growth. And it is through belief that we discover the strength that has always been within us. Even when you feel weak, even when the challenges seem too great, remember, the power to overcome lies not in your circumstances, but in how you see yourself. Believe that you are strong, and you will be. Believe that you can overcome, and you will find a way. This is the power of belief. It shapes our reality, transforms our weaknesses into strengths, and unlocks the potential we've had all along.